You're sitting by the window, watching the ground disappear beneath a sea of white. The plane climbs higher, piercing through the clouds, and suddenly everything below vanishes. Above you, nothing but endless blue sky. Below, an ocean of cotton. You've seen this 100 times, maybe more, but have you ever stopped to wonder why planes don't just stay below the clouds, where you can actually see the world passing beneath you? The answer isn't what most people think. It's not just about the view. It's not simply about avoiding bad weather, though that's part of it. The real reason planes fly above the clouds is rooted in physics, efficiency, and decades of aviation science that most passengers never think about. The altitude a plane reaches isn't random. It's carefully chosen, and it changes everything about how that aircraft performs, how much fuel it burns, and how safely it delivers you to your destination. It starts with the air itself. To understand why planes climb so high, you need to understand what happens to air as you move away from the Earth's surface. At ground level, air is thick and dense, packed with molecules pressing down under the weight of the atmosphere above. But as you climb, that air gets thinner. There's less of it, less resistance. And for an airplane, that changes everything. When a plane flies through thick air at lower altitudes, it has to push through all those molecules. That creates drag, friction that slows the plane down and forces the engines to work harder. But up high, where the air is thin, there's far less resistance. The plane can slice through with less effort, moving faster while burning less fuel. It's the same reason why a car gets better mileage on a smooth highway than crawling through city traffic. Here's where it gets interesting. Jet engines are specifically designed to perform best in cold, thin air. At cruising altitude, typically between 30,000 and 40,000 feet, the temperature outside drops to around minus 60 degrees Fahrenheit. In that cold, dense environment, jet engines operate at peak efficiency. They compress more air per cycle, generate more thrust, and consume fuel more effectively than they ever could closer to the ground. But this is the part most people don't know. Flying high isn't just about fuel and efficiency, it's about stability. Clouds don't just float peacefully in the sky. They're formed by rising currents of warm, moist air colliding with cooler air above. That collision creates turbulence, the bumps and jolts you feel when a plane passes through a storm cloud or even a harmless-looking puff of white. The thicker the cloud, the more unstable the air inside it. When planes fly above the cloud layer, they escape that turbulence entirely. Up there, the air is smooth, stable, and predictable. No rising thermals, no sudden downdrafts, just steady laminar flow that allows the plane to glide effortlessly. For passengers, that means a quieter, more comfortable ride. For pilots, it means less strain on the aircraft and fewer adjustments mid-flight. This is where things changed. In the early days of aviation, planes couldn't fly this high. They were limited by engine technology and unpressurized cabins. Pilots had no choice but to navigate through weather, not above it. They flew low, weaving between storms, battling winds, and enduring rough conditions that made every flight an ordeal. But as jet engines improved and pressurized cabins became standard, planes gained the ability to climb higher than the weather itself. What you probably assumed was wrong. You might think flying above the clouds is mainly about avoiding rain or lightning, and yes, that's important. Thunderstorms, hail, and ice can damage aircraft or reduce visibility to zero, but the bigger reason is systemic. Aviation authorities have divided the sky into structured flight levels, invisible highways in the air where planes travel at specific altitudes depending on their direction. Eastbound flights cruise at one set of altitudes, westbound at another. This system keeps aircraft safely separated, even when you can't see them. Flying at these higher altitudes allows air traffic controllers to manage thousands of flights simultaneously without collisions or conflicts. If every plane flew wherever it wanted at any altitude, the sky would be chaos. But by staying above the clouds in those thin, stable layers of air, planes follow predictable routes that make modern aviation possible. Why it still matters to you today. Every time you board a plane, that climb above the clouds is doing more than lifting you into the sky. It's optimizing fuel burn, reducing carbon emissions, keeping the ride smooth, and ensuring the plane arrives on time. It's allowing pilots to bypass dangerous weather systems without rerouting hundreds of miles off course. It lets you sip your coffee without spilling it, read a book without your stomach dropping, and trust that the aircraft is exactly where it needs to be. The next time you look out that window and see nothing but clouds below and sky above, you'll know it's not by accident, it's by design. Every foot of altitude was chosen for a reason. Every layer of atmosphere the plane passes through was calculated to balance speed, safety, and efficiency. That invisible ocean of air you're floating through isn't empty. It's full of physics, history, and engineering working together to make the impossible feel routine. Flying above the clouds isn't just how planes travel, it's why modern aviation works at all. If you've ever looked out an airplane window and wondered about the science behind what you're seeing, there are 1,000 more stories like this hiding in plain sight, waiting to be uncovered.